Production funding for Ruckus has been provided by Fred and Lou Hartwig and viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to Ruckus, our weekly food for thought fight over the news of the day and the trends of the times. I'm Mike Shannon. The Ruckettes join me shortly. Our topics this week: to vote or not to vote. That indeed is the question at City Hall. The halls of Kansas City schools are not filled with joy, and one Ruckette forecasts a joyful return to moderation in Kansas, plus roast and toast. But we start with our interview segment and welcome a Republican member of the Kansas legislature. He's State Representative Scott Schwab of Olathe from the 49th District. We'll talk with Mr. Schwab about his views about the Brownback administration and about the frequent criticism the governor and his supporters have received in the media, and certainly from some of the panelists on this program. Representative Schwab, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's good to see you again.
You too. It's been a few years.
You consider yourself a conservative Republican, am I correct?
Yes, and with the political dynamics in social media, that definition becomes more and more fluid. It depends on what you consider what you compare yourself to. But on a national scale, yes, I would say I'm center right.
Okay. How would you differentiate yourself from so-called moderate Republicans in Kansas?
You know, when I first got elected in about 13 years ago, it was all based on pro-life. If you are pro-life, you're conservative Republican. If you are pro-choice Republican, you're considered a moderate. Those dynamics have changed because you now have people that are moderate that are pro-life. But they don't like the Second Amendment rights that some of the things Kansas has done. And then you also have moderates that like the Second Amendment things that Kansas has done, but they're pro-choice. So those dynamics have changed. I would say that a moderate is somebody who is very comfortable with raising taxes to fund K through 12, and that's a priori more than anything else. It's more important than deregulating certain businesses. It's more important than the Second Amendment. It's more important than abortion rights, anything else. K through 12 is a priori over
education
everything else.
Is the prime concern of Republican moderates.
All other concerns bow to that.
Is it fair to say, and I've often thought this, that one of the major distinctions between a conservative and a moderate Republican is that the moderate is more pragmatic, more willing to compromise on certain issues?
Well, I would think that's the case, but we didn't find that this last session because Chairman Reichman and Chairman Kleb worked really hard on budget and tax issues to try those who label themselves more moderate to come in, and they wouldn't been. There was no tax plan they were going to vote for. Even some of them, they said, that's a great plan, it's a fair plan. They said, okay, can we count on your support? We're not voting for it. So it used to be, yeah, they were more willing to compromise, but that's not necessarily the case anymore.
The governor and his supporters in the legislature, and I guess you would be among them, have received huge amounts of criticism, reams of articles from the Kansas City Star and other media. Are you and he being criticized fairly?
No. And it's not so much the points of criticism, it's the amount. I will give credit to Steve Rose because he finally said, okay, look, we're pouring on on Sam Brownback. Let's talk about some of the positive things he's done. And he finally was able to cut through the noise and say he did increase funding for K through 12. He did get rid of a horrible model that was designed by a Democrat governor and Democrat House at the time. And he has tried to do some things growing the economy. Now, have those things worked? In some have, in some instances
Has he had enough time for them to work?
The time is coming to a close. I would say if we don't see significant revenue changes by December, it's time to alter the course.
To do what? Raise taxes or raise some taxes?
Redistribute. We're going to have to lower possibly some sales, change the business structure, or change the income structure. There's going to be tons of ideas out there, but I wouldn't say it would be a net increase, especially if we can avoid it. It would be more of a, how do we broaden the tax code more?
What about Medicaid? We hear a lot of talk about the expansion of Medicaid. Some states with Republican governors have gone ahead and expanded Medicaid. The argument is people need it. The federal government pays 90% of the tab. Why not in Kansas?
And this is where I think, going back to your first question, the criticism of the governor and the legislature has been incredibly unfair. I was on Health Committee when we did the hearings for Medicaid expansion, and I sit next to a Democrat who looked at it. He goes, "We have the compassion, you have the numbers. There is no way we can afford this." It is over $110 million hit in the out years. So whereas the Democrats criticized Republicans when we did the tax plan, saying you got to look at the out years, you're not going to be able to afford this tax plan. When you look at Medicaid expansion in the out years, we can't afford it. And they criticize the governor because a hospital closed. But if you're a hospital for profit based on Medicaid, you don't have a successful model. You need to either convert to a nonprofit or you're just not sustainable.
I got to wrap this up very quickly. If the Kansas Supreme Court says education needs more money in Kansas, do you and the legislature and the governor have any choice but to go ahead and take the action recommended by the Supreme Court?
We do have a choice because we're equal branches of government. We're gonna come up with a new model first, and then we'll find out how much we spend on
You'll defy
K through
the
12.
Supreme Court order?
It depends on what the model is, and it depends on what the order is. But if they just say spend more money, I don't see how they win.
If they
that
say
argument.
spend $550 million, will you do that?
No, I don't see that happening.
So you see a constitutional crisis evolving.
I think that's premature because last decision the court came, they cared more about outcomes.
Got to stop you there. Good to see you again. Thanks for
You
coming
too.
by.
Thank you.
That is Kansas State Representative Scott Schwab. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus. Steve Rose is a Johnson County civic leader and a columnist with the Kansas City Star. Patrick McInerney is a former prosecutor now in private practice with Denton's in Kansas City. Mary O'Halloran is a media and communications consultant, and attorney Stephen J. Marakian is with the law firm of Wersch, Hobbs, and Marakian. By the way, the J stands for jurisprudence. And may we say thank you to Major League Baseball for not scheduling a World Series game on Thursday evening so that Ruckus has a chance at acquiring some viewers. In a recent Kansas City Star column, Steve Rose forecast a return in 2018 to more traditional Kansas politics, governing coalitions of moderate Democrats and Republicans, undoing conservative policies. Rose's views may be bolstered by a statewide study from the Docking Institute of Public Affairs at Fort Hays State University. The random study of 638 adults finds only 18% are very or somewhat satisfied with the current occupant of Cedar Crest, Governor Sam Brownback. A plurality supports gay marriage. 61% label changes to the tax structure as a failure. And 64% believe block grant funding to schools has lowered the quality of education. So does this study bolster Mr. Rose's point about likely voter discontent? Steve Marakian.
Well, first of all, I think Steve has his finger on the pulse of Johnson County extremely well, but I don't think that this study is truly indicative of what's going on in Kansas generally. And the reason I say that is for a number of reasons. One is the study itself is a very bad study. If you look at the metrics of this study, what you find is it was very heavily weighted towards Democrats, surprisingly, very heavily weighted toward women. And the independents, those who called themselves independents, agreed almost identically with all the the answers by those who called themselves Democrats. It's not a good study. However, and any study that you look at, this study, for example, you didn't mention it, a study that would show that something like 70% of Kansans believe that there should be a pathway to citizenship, okay, you could tell yourself that study is not a good study. However, Steve has a good point, and the point is that there is a movement in Kansas right now where what Brownback has done is not sitting well with a lot of middle-of-the-road Kansans, people who would not call themselves, strong to the right side, are looking at this and saying, something's got to change. We're going to have to do something, not necessarily that taking all these tax things, at one time, but we're going to have to make some revenue changes. The school issue, however, and Steve has pointed this out many times, the school issue is not a good issue for those who oppose Brownback because he has not destroyed the schools in Kansas. And in fact, the block grant funding is in fact one way to achieve some equity and allow for growth in Kansas.
Steve Rose, are your views enhanced by this study from the Docking Institute?
Well, I think I was glad to see it because I think it did confirm some of my gut instincts about it. When you see that only 0.2% think that the economic program of Sam Brownback is a tremendous success, I've never heard of a number that low coming from any poll. You know, you heard Scott Schwab earlier say that things may not be working out in all areas as he thought that they would be, and they may be taking a second look. Yeah. I think they're going to have to take a second look at a lot of this, or they're definitely going to be out in 2018. They're going to have to make some major adjustments in this program. It's failing.
I asked him if he was talking about increasing taxes, and he said no redistribution. And while we were listening to that interview, I mean, from you looked up and thinking Republicans.
I said they changed the locks on his office doors. He said that because you don't hear that often. So go ahead.
Well, somebody go ahead. Patrick, you
somebody.
Go ahead.
Too much polite. Yeah, well, no, I mean, Brownback's one issue. The State House obviously is a completely different issue, and it really depends on engagement and I think education at that district level. And it depends a lot on the continuing ability of the GOP in Kansas to nationalize what they do, to make a Kansas State House race really a race against President Obama or against Hillary Clinton or against national demons like that.
And yet President Obama gets higher approval ratings in this Knocking Institute study than Governor Brownback. But here's an interesting point. An interesting point, Mary. 67% of the people surveyed said they support higher taxes for large corporations and wealthy people, but 61% want lower taxes for themselves and reductions in state spending.
Well, just like the people in the corporations who just got a big tax break, they want one too, because they had their taxes raised by Sam Brownback. Come on, I mean, let's start talking about the reality.
I thought all taxes were reduced.
Let's
all
start
income tax levels.
No. Last year
were all income tax levels reduced in Kansas?
Yes, they were.
Okay,
but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the
All right.
total amount that a family pays in taxes. What's happened is that the sales tax increase and these striking tax deductions that were extremely important for families, like the mortgage interest deduction, are starting to be felt by people. All kinds of radical changes in the state's governance are now starting to be lived and felt by ordinary people on an everyday basis. And on top of it, they're looking at their school and they're saying, oh, really? You took away the formula that allowed us to get more money when we have more students? Right. And then you denied Wyandotte County in Olathe, the city of Olathe school district, which is excellent, not one dime for the extra students that they have. And they start seeing this kind of radical departure from the middle.
The control room tells me I've got to stop. I do need to say that despite the findings in the study, 75% say Kansas is a good place to live, 37% say the economy is good, 38% say it is fair. As Kansas City School Superintendent Stephen Green was heading out of town to a better paying job in Atlanta, I asked him on Ruckus if the district had a reasonable chance of becoming fully accredited. He said, indeed it did. Indeed it did not. Latest test scores show it remains in the provisional category. Acting Superintendent Al Tunis says we have a long way to go after the district lost points in the most recent state report. As anyone who has paid even modest attention to the news knows, this has gone on for decades. So I ask you, Mary, is there no remedy for the Kansas City School District?
Well, there's a remedy for every school district if people want to improve it badly enough. And certainly, I don't see any indication that the progress made under Superintendent Green can't continue, since the real decline in this we could get all involved in all the numbers.
Let's not
use our time. But there was a really awful score on science. So of course they can improve. What you would do is to review the science program quickly and intensely, hire the best people that you can get to retool whatever isn't happening in the science classrooms and bring those scores up. Because otherwise, even though there was some decline in math and reading, it wasn't something to get all panic-stricken about. Now, I have friends who really do not have such moderate views as myself. They think that the schools have been.
We've always accused you of moderate views.
On this question, I am a moderate on many issues and conservative on others, as you well know. that the school is in such crisis that it needs the district that it needs to be disbanded,
Yes.
privatized,
Yes.
and
All right,
so on.
all right, Steve.
But
Yeah.
that's
Steve
the
Rose.
radical.
Steve, all right,
It may
Steve-
be a
Steve
radical
Rose.
view, but
It is the
there are
radical view.
14,000 students only in this tiny little district,
Right.
and it is destroying the reputation of Kansas City. The best thing to do is to disband it, carve it up, send the kids out to all the other outlying schools that are near it, and be done with it, because this is hopeless. The way it's going, it is absolutely hopeless. Every superintendent comes through there, they spend a year or 2 years there.
we can fix
and,
that,
and nothing.
Steve.
We can fix that. We thought we had that fixed with
fix that.
Mr. Green. I mean, he was supposed to be there
Well,
forever.
he did institute improvements. And we don't need a superintendent. First of all,
What do
taking
we-
a year to hire a new one is way too long. Secondly, let's not get a careerist in here who's a bag of tricks and
By the way,
a hot shot.
in
Let's
that
get a
interview I did
great
with Stephen
educator.
Green a few months ago, I asked him if they needed to go
good.
outside the district to find a superintendent, and he said, oh no, we have qualified people within the district, I assume one of whom is currently the acting superintendent, Al Tunis. They need 70 points to be accredited, Patrick. They get 64 this year. Last year got 66.
Right.
So that's disappointing.
It's real disappointing. And I think part of this conversation now probably is around what's been raised in the last, several weeks, and that is whether this testing mania is causing a clog in the function of districts like Kansas City. I mean, if they're pre-testing and post-testing and test analyzing, and all the time is spent down that hole, as is the legacy of No Child Left Behind, then what's really going on? The president called the other day for no more than 2% of time being devoted to testing. I don't think that's necessarily a bad conversation to have. I don't think you take that at face value and run. I don't think that's a bad conversation to have, though.
Steve Marakian, how about the president getting involved with how much time should be spent on testing in the classroom?
Well, obviously, he's using the bully pulpit, and that's what a president should do to sort of give a philosophical view. Obviously, he should not be, involved in the nuts and bolts of running education nationally. But to get back to the point here in terms of what can be done and what can't be done, very quickly, what you can do is exactly what Steve said, but you can supplement that. This district should be broken up. Yale Abahalka writes a very good article about the surrounding district. There are good districts in Missouri.
Yeah.
You can break up this district, you can break it up, and you can stop the Board of Education in Missouri, the State Board of Education, stop this horrible, they have hated charter schools forever. It's almost impossible to get a good charter school. If you had charter schools and you broke up this district, you'd get better education. The one thing that won't solve it, and it won't solve it in Kansas either, is paying more and more and more money per student. It's not accomplishing anything.
Steve, there's a new charter school going in
Yes,
downtown.
finally.
It's not impossible to get a charter
Almost.
school.
I've represented
Kansas
charter
City.
schools who can't get a charter.
know that.
It's impossible. Except for this one.
Despite the unfortunate news for the Kansas City district, most districts in Kansas City, Missouri improved or held their level. Not the case with Hickman Mills, but that was an interesting column by Yale on Thursday
Mike,
morning
across-
suggesting that there are good schools in Missouri that
Yes,
parents don't have to
people
go
don't need to
to
go to
Kansas
Kansas.
to
Mike,
get their
across-
students.
across
I
the
got to go
country.
on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Defending its opposition to a public vote on the proposed downtown convention hotel, the Kansas City Star editorial board offered this thought. As strong believers in the right of the people to petition their government, we recognize the hazards in this approach. However, this is a unique case. To support its position, the Star says the hotel project is too far down the road to stop. A vote would open the floodgates for efforts to overturn other agreements. The opposition has not presented reasonable objections to the plan. And finally, if there were a vote, the public would support building the hotel. City Council still pondering its decision, a final vote scheduled for November the 12th. So, Patrick, do you think the council will adopt the Star's way of thinking?
I think they will, and there's good reasons to do that. And let's talk about what this really is and what this isn't. This is a couple different things. This is this issue. This is the downtown hotel issue, and maybe it is too far down the road, and maybe the city gets sued, 1,500 times after something like this happens. So that's a real deal. Oh, and by the way, the proposed ordinance is unconstitutional, and I think Bill Gary made a really good
The initiative
statement.
petition.
It is. It's unconstitutional.
That's what's unconstitutional, not the ordinance.
Right. Probably shouldn't have buried that lead. But second of all, The real problem is whether this is a functional democratic process at all. I mean, this is a hostage crisis more than it is anything else. If you have 1,700 people able to potentially hold the will of 460,000 people hostage, I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's everybody's, the Star did it well. They said, look, everybody's for the democratic process and involvement and whatever else. But, I mean, for heaven's sake.
So does the city charter have to change so that you have to get more than 1,700 signatures on a petition to force an election?
I don't think there's any question.
No question about
that
that
has
at
to
all.
change.
But that's not an easy process, is it?
It's not an easy process, but it is a big deal. And at one of these points, this city's going to get stung because it's going to wind up on a ballot, and you're going to wind up with financiers and developers saying, "Wait a minute, I can pledge this effort, I can pledge these resources, and I've got to wait till next April. Then your costs are going to go up, and if it goes sideways, then I've got a raft of lawyers."
It seemed to me if you could get a vote on this, why couldn't you get a vote on contracts approved 2 years ago?
Well, right.
The thing's already done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if something like Kemp Arena gets done and everybody makes a
That's
deal.
a big if.
Yeah, well, but someday there will be a deal.
Well, Steve,
and
given-
1,700 people can sign the petition and try to undo that deal. There'll be total chaos in the city if this is allowed to stand.
Interesting example, given that Crosby Kemper's kind of involved in this petition business. Oh, it is. Missouri has always had a big populist, democratic populist streak, and that's where this petition process comes from. And I don't think that we ought to change the charter as a reaction to this particular thing. I don't like reactionary charter changes or constitution changes, but it ought to be changed to 5,000, 10,000. You can get 1,700 signatures in a couple of Saturdays in Kansas City.
Well,
so
go ahead.
it
And look
should
who
be.
boosts this. I mean, look
Yeah.
who takes this over. I mean,
Exactly.
it's guys like this who are against everything, against KCI, the street. I mean, even
What-
Clay
what-
Chastain
what-
has
what-
options.
What is it that
right?
James calls them? The cave people?
Cave, right.
Citizens against
virtually everything, right.
And
the other
Dan
guy
Coffey
says
says that an
caves.
S.
Yeah.
Citizens against.
But when you look at what he's done,
Stupid.
it's
Very-
everything's stupid.
Everything's
right.
stupid, yeah.
Right.
But when you look at what he's done and when they've spoken the loudest, it's just no. It's not no plus an alternative.
Steve Marakian,
Not even gondolas.
understand the council's motivation, but our national constitution says people have a right to redress their grievances before the government.
Yeah, this is where I have the problem with everything that's being said here. I want to see this project go forward. But in my view, we have a charter. It says what it says. We can amend the charter. But for the city attorney, who may be right to say, well, I'm going to unilaterally declare that what you want to vote on would be unconstitutional, therefore you don't get to vote on it, okay, I don't think that's the right process. Everything you all have said is true. Kansas City is being held hostage. It may be bad for future deals. What you need to do is change your charter. If the people of this city don't want to have a situation where they can have these kinds of initiatives, that's what we have. And either you take it to a judge and a judge says, I will not allow you to vote because I have determined this is unconstitutional. But for the city attorney to simply say, I'm going to decide you can't because I don't think it'll fly, or for the city council to say you don't like it.
Let me wrap this
that's
up
not
by
the law.
asking you and Patrick both a legal question. If Citizens for Responsible Government loses out on this, it doesn't go on the ballot, can they file some sort of litigation against the city? And
Sure
if
they
so,
can.
would that delay the hotel project?
Well, and then that's where we get this tough issue. Yes, they can file it, and they would have to get an injunction from a court, and they probably wouldn't get it. Then you go up to the Court of Appeals. It's a very difficult
But
process.
Quickly, you
But they
agree?
can do
You
it.
agree? We got it.
I agree. That's
Okay.
the legal end of it. The business end of it, though, could potentially clog up the
Okay.
contracts. That
Now
are
it is
out.
time. It is time now for Roast and Toast, where the Ruckettes offer praise or scorn to people and events in the news, and we start tonight with Mary.
Well, there is no other hero in town from my perspective quite as wonderful as Alcides Escobar, the Kansas City Royals shortstop from Venezuela, who is such a gift to our city. Alcides, if you're watching Ruckus, I just want to tell you that
He's a big fan.
right here in Kansas City, our field of dreams is Kauffman Stadium. And when you stepped up and hit the first pitch of the first game, out for an inside the park home run, scored the first run and the last game run of a 14-inning historic game, you are my new Kansas City hero.
Mr. Rose.
Well, we've got to talk baseball
We
because
do.
I visited both games, fortunately, and I got to see it. And I thought I was a big skeptic of Johnny Cueto, and I thought we were in big trouble last night. And he came through, and he is really a great pitcher. I don't know exactly what happens to him in between. Something happens to him when he doesn't play at home or something. But I got to give them credit for sticking with him. He came through.
Mr. Marakian.
Well, my roast is for the dismal state of American politics. As the world burns and the ship of state sinks rapidly into a cesspool of red ink, look at our current frontrunners for president. We have a moral socialist and we have a lying socialist on the Democratic side. On the Republicans, we have a bombastic buffoon who is actually a progressive Democrat and a brain surgeon who doesn't know how to remove his foot from his own mouth. No George Washington, no Abe Lincoln, no FDR, no Ronald Reagan to save us. No, this time our choices are between a leftist, a liar, and a lunatic.
Patrick.
I've got one of each, too quick. My roast is Chris Kobach, who has wanted to be a prosecutor for years and years and has finally filed these ridiculous voter fraud charges against a retired couple who built a cabin in Arkansas as some sort of emblematic vote fraud defendants, whatever. And my toast has to be from Mike Jerschley, the Royals third base coach, who got that windmill going and I think brought this city right to the brink where we are. So it's a great time to be in Kansas City and love baseball.
All right, thanks to all of you. And finally, here is a toast, but I'm not sure to what or to whom. Maybe to free enterprise, maybe to Governor Brownback. Tucked away on page 16A of the Kansas City Star on October 21st, this story. In September, the state of Missouri lost 16,500 jobs. The state of Kansas gained 4,900 jobs in September. One can only speculate where the story would have appeared in the Star if Kansas had lost 4,900 jobs. But anyway, a toast to whomever or whatever made the job gain in Kansas a reality. And that's Ruckus for this week. This program is rebroadcast Sunday morning at 11:30. Back with new topics, new panelists next Thursday at 7. Now, on behalf of the Ruckettes and the crew, Mike Shannon saying thanks very much for watching and good night.